Ever wanted to tell a computer what to do and have it actually, listen? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to build your very first interactive program completely from scratch. It's a simple one. It'll ask for your name and say hello back. So let's just dive right in.
So, what does it really take to write that first line of code? Do you need some kind of super complex software, or maybe a degree in computer science? Honestly, this is the kind of question that stops a lot of people before they even get started. But the answer? It is so much simpler than you think. Yeah, it takes a whole lot less than you'd imagine. In fact, we can start right this second. This window you're looking at, this is the Python shell. Think of it as a direct line to the computer's brain. We type a command, hit enter, and it responds instantly. The very first command that pretty much every programmer on the planet learns is print. You just type print, add some parentheses, put text in quotes, and hit enter. And boom, the computer speaks.
And that little moment right there, that brings us to our first major building block, making the computer speak. This is the absolute foundation of any program. We've got to have a way for it to show us information and give us results.
Our main tool for this job is the print function. The best way to think of it is simply as the computer's voice. Anything, and I mean anything you put inside those parentheses, gets displayed right there on the screen. It's simple, it's powerful, and it is absolutely essential.
Now, what you're seeing here shows a really key difference. Typing one command at a time in that shell, that's great for quick tests. But for a real program, we write our commands in a file, just like that one on the left. This lets us run all the commands together, all at once, with a single click. And we can run it over and over. That is a program.
Okay, so we know how to make the computer display things. But what is the thing we're displaying? That question takes us to the data itself. And in the world of programming, when you're talking about text, you're talking about strings. Now, string might sound a little technical, but it's really just the programmer's word for a sequence of characters. Your name, that's a string. Hello world is a string. Any piece of text from a single letter to an entire book is just a string to the computer.
And when we type that text directly into our program, surrounded by quotes, it gets a special name, a string literal. So here's the main takeaway. A string is the concept of the text, while a string literal is the actual text that you can physically see written in your code.
And to create one of these string literals, all you have to do is wrap your text in quotes. And this slide shows off one of Python's really friendly features. It seriously doesn't care if you use single quotes or double quotes. Both of them work in exactly the same way, which just gives you a nice bit of flexibility.
All right, let's move on to our next core concept. You see, a program isn't just about what it does. It's also about being able to understand how and why it does it, especially when you look at it again weeks later. This is where comments come in.
This is probably the most important thing to remember about comments. They are notes for humans, for you or for other programmers. The computer, it completely ignores them. Their only job, their sole purpose, is to make the code easier for people to understand.
And the way you write one couldn't be simpler. You just type the hash symbol or the pound sign. Everything after it on that same line automatically becomes a comment, and the computer just skips right over it.
So take a look at this code. It works just fine. But if you came back to this in a month, would you remember exactly what it was for? Probably not. It's a bit of a mystery. Now look at the same exact code, but with that little comment at the top. See the difference? That simple note makes the purpose crystal clear. It doesn't change what the program does at all, but it dramatically changes how easy it is for a person to understand what's going on.
So, let's recap where we are. We can display data, we know what that text data is called, and we can leave notes about it. But where do we put data that might change? Like, say, input from a user. For that, we need a place to store it. We need variables.
The easiest way to think of a variable is just as a labeled box. You give the box a name, and then you can put information inside it. Later on, you just use that name to get the information back out. It's really how we store and manage all the data in a program. Here is a perfect example. We're creating a variable, our labeled box, and we're calling it first_name. Now, that equals sign isn't about math here. It's called an assignment operator. All it means is, hey, take the value on the right and store it in the variable on the left. So in this case, we're taking whatever the user types and putting it in our first_name box.
And that right there, that brings us to the payoff. We are about to put all of these pieces together, the printing, the strings, and now the variables to finally create something that actually interacts with a person.
The final piece of this puzzle is the input function, and it's basically the exact opposite of print. While print sends information out to the screen, input pauses the program and waits for the user to type something in and then press enter, and whatever they type gets handed back to our program as a string.
Okay, let's build it out. Step 1, we use input to ask for a first name, and we store the answer in that first underscore name variable. Step 2, we do the exact same thing, but for the last name. And finally, step 3, we use our print function to say hello, followed by whatever is inside those two variables the user just gave us.
And here is what happens when you run it. The program prompts for the first name. Our user types Vinny and hits enter. It asks for the last name, they type Brown. And then, using the data it's stored in those variables, the program gives back a personalized greeting. Hello, Vinny Brown. That's it. That is your first interactive program.
And just like that, you've done it. I mean, think about it. You used print for output, input for getting data, strings to handle all the text, and variables to store it all. You combined all of the most fundamental building blocks into a real, working, interactive program. But here's the crucial point. You have the tools now. Yeah, we made a program that says hello, but it could just as easily ask for a favorite color, or tell a joke, or share a cool fact. The logic is exactly the same. So the only real question left is, what would you make your program say?